Hello and welcome back to the Grapple Theory podcast. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Now, today I'm delighted to say that for our second week celebrating Black History Month in British wrestling here in the UK, we're joined by one of the fastest rising stars on the scene at the minute. He's been on an absolute tear this year, wrestling all over the country, wrestling some incredible matches, putting on some incredible moves, and basically wowing fans across the United Kingdom with his incredible wrestling style. We're going to be talking to him about his wrestling style, about the matches he's had this year, about representation in wrestling for Black History Month as well, and generally just about his incredibly fast rise up the scene. Delighted to welcome onto the Grapple Theory podcast today, Leon Slater. Leon, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you here. Let's talk, first of all, about the last year that you've had, because I think it's fair to say maybe that it's been a pretty crazy 12 months for you.
Absolutely, it's been absolutely crazy. Like I never could have even imagined like the heights that I've reached already. I'm not even like the year's not even through. It's crazy how fast stuff has moved.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at some of the matches you've had and the things you've accomplished, taking on the likes of like Takashita and Speedball as well, like just in the last few months alone, like are those almost like pinch yourself moments? Like, is this actually happening?
1,000%, like 1,000%, like when I watch it back, it doesn't feel like I'm watching myself. You know what I mean? Like it's very, very surreal. Even still, like after I've watched the footage back and everything, it's very, very surreal.
How does it feel watching a match back yourself? Because we've spoken to a few people who say they don't watch their matches back. So, like, if you watch your matches back to see, like, I guess what you can improve and stuff, how is that as an experience?
It's a strange one sometimes because say when you know you've had like a bit of a stinker, a bit of a bad match, then I'm a bit hesitant to watch it. But when I know I've had a banger, I'm excited to watch it because I like to gas myself up. I really do. I like to give myself that confidence. And if I've had a good match, I watch it back and I go, yeah, you did a good job there. Right, let's move on and do that again and again and again and again. More super fights, you know what I mean? So I do enjoy watching it back.
For sure, for sure. And going on to sort of like, again, the matches with the likes of Speedball and people like that. So early in your career to have like promotions be like, you know, you're going to be facing him, you're going to be the one we're putting in this sort of like big star match. Like that must be a real sort of like validating feeling that you're really climbing that ladder.
Yeah, 100%. Like it's very reassuring for me, and it gives me confidence knowing that like the people in charge have confidence in me to perform in like situations that they could give to someone else with more experience. So yeah, it really does boost my confidence a lot.
I mean, you've had, like we mentioned, a lot of standout moments in the last year. Could you pick just one as like the top one in your mind, the one that either meant the most to you, or you were like, oh, this is just cool as fuck?
Jeez. So two come to mind. So the first one would be the first tag match that me and Dereiss did at North. So it was me and Dereiss versus Lycos and Gene Money, and that was like the first time I was in with like talent of that caliber. So I remember like a point in the match, I was waiting on the apron or something, and I just said to myself, "Man, this is cool as shit." Like I'm looking at Kid Lycos across the ring from me, a guy that I've watched like growing up in my teenage years. Like I've watched him on Progress. I've watched Gene Money do all his stuff at Breed. I've watched Dereiss kill the scene, and now I'm watching them in the same ring as me. So that was one of the first moments for sure that I was like, holy shit, here we are. And then probably the standout moment from this year is me and Speedball in York Hall. Like it's the feeling. I've never felt that feeling before. Like because they cut it out of the video on demand, which I'm a bit annoyed about, but it's okay. But after I got a standing ovation, so Speedball had gone to the back, and I got a standing ovation, and I've never felt this feeling before, and I cried in the ring, and it's the first time I've ever felt that overwhelmed by anything. I just sat in the ring, I put my head in my hands, and I cried. I bawled my eyes out just because I've been working so hard for moments like that, and that was the first time that I was like, yeah, I'm on the right path here. I'm definitely on the right path. So them two moments for this year stand out for sure.
For sure. And that's the thing is like we talk about big moments in like wrestling for big companies as well. But like you're one of the few at the minute, especially so early on in your career, who's really sort of like crossing that north-south divide as well with where you're wrestling. And that must be cool as well, that like it's not just one area, it's like the whole country is sort of sat up and taken notice of you.
Yeah, for sure. It's a real cool thing to be able to kind of bridge that gap because especially from Yorkshire, we are kind of contained into this area as like a Yorkshire group. So we do the titles and we do the rises. And then some of us venture up to like North. But me and I'd say like Kid Like Us too, we're the only really Yorkshire people that are venturing further down south, which is a really cool which was a really cool bridge to cross, and just give more exposure to the Yorkshire scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like we are only the tip of the iceberg. There's people all around us that are just as good as us, that are wicked wrestlers that just need that one chance to shine. And then, so I'm hoping in the next year or so that like the Yorkshire scene will be bustling, bro. Like everyone will be all over the place. That's what I'm hoping for.
For sure, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something we all hope for as well. We had Liam Slater on a little while ago, and he was hyping you up majorly. We'd already messaged you, I think, at this point to come on the show, but we had him on, and he was like, "Oh, you've got to get Leon on." Like, I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna try, obviously." But yeah, he was hyping you up massively and talking about the Yorkshire scene as well. And it seems like there's so much talent there. Do you think that that's as well something a little extra sort of like push that you get in terms of the fact that you've been able to break out of that scene, you've been able to sort of make yourself seen above all that other talent?
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you?
Well, yeah, like the Yorkshire scene, like I was saying, it's crazy at the moment. Like we have so much talent, so many different characters, and I think in Yorkshire we provide something different than the rest of the country. So like obviously Northwest, you have like the kind of like shooter, technical strikers, like real, just pure wrestlers. And then in Yorkshire, we have like the wildest characters you've ever seen. Like at Pursuit, we have a gentleman called Jim Maguire. We have a commander, Stephanie Sterling. We have a graffiti artist called Ellis Barker. We have some type of gang member in Jet Marshall. You know what I mean? Like we have such a variety of people, and I'd love for people to see it, man. I'd love for people to see the variety of talent and the depth as well. Like it's not just 4 or 5 people that we have a roster. We have a roster full of people that are show ready that just need the opportunity, like I was saying.
Yeah. And talk to me about Liam as well in terms of Pursuit and how he sort of like goes about his training of people, and I guess like working with him. How is that as an experience? Because he's so highly praised, not just in the ring, but for his training as well. Like he's really one of the top guys in the country.
Of course, 100%. I'd 100% agree with that. And to be honest, Liam saved my career 100% because I was training at a place before where it was very much a bubble environment.
Right.
And you train with the same people, and then you go do the shows on a Saturday, like a training show, and then sometimes you get a crowd in and do like a proper show, but it's always with the same people. And then Liam came there and he's like, "Oh, I'm running this school. I'm going to open a school up in the new year. You should come down." So I went down, and since Pursuit opened, like you can see it in like what shows I'm doing now. It's just gone up and up and up and up and up, and that's a big part thanks to Liam. Like he was a big part in getting me on North to start, and obviously he's a big part of like the wrestler I am now. So he's 100% one of the best in the country, and I think he's one of the most underrated wrestlers in the country, to be honest. Because when we talk about the top wrestlers in the country, his name never gets mentioned, but he is one of them.
Yeah,
100%.
Oh, for sure. I totally agree with that. And you mentioned as well. You mentioned North there. You mentioned it earlier with tagging with Dereiss. Talk to me about North, how that opportunity first came about, how they got in contact with you, and also about tagging with Dereiss, how that first came about, and sort of like that chemistry you guys have in the ring.
So pretty much. On the North show, I was already meant to be on the pre-show, which I was really thankful for anyway. And it just so happened that Visage had I think it was something to do with mental health, so they had to take the show off. They had to pull out of the show, which is unfortunate because we were meant to be tagging with Dereiss. So Battles was scouring for partners for Dereiss, and I messaged him. I remember messaging him, and I was like, "Yo, I'm already on the pre-show. And me and Dereiss, we have similar vibes. We both got good energy. So just throwing my name out there to possibly be his tag partner." And he got back to me and he's like, yeah, you know what? Maybe you're right. We'll give it a go. And then what happened. I broke the light. We had a banger of a match. And then here we are now, Boisterous Behaviour, North Tag Team Champions.
I was going to say, so first of all, I mean, a few points on that. So was it quite a natural thing tagging with him initially? And then from there, after that first match, did it just seem like a natural thing to just keep it going?
Yeah, 100%. Like, to be honest, I think he was quite unsure of me when we first started tagging, because I think he'd heard like whispers of my name, but everyone gets hyped up nowadays, so he wasn't sure if I was like the real deal or not, innit? But when we got out there, like, our energies just meshed so well, and like our styles, like we work similar styles, so that meshed real well. And then obviously against opponents like us and Gene, we're obviously gonna have a banger of a match. So after that, we were like, okay, we probably have something here. Let's just keep rolling with it. And then here we are now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What about boisterous behaviour? Where did that come from? Was the inspiration behind the name?
Honestly, I have no clue. Ask Dereiss about that one because on that entrance, it was the semi final. It was us versus and Connor Renshaw in the semi-finals of the tag team tournament. And before we went out, he's like, "Oh yeah, on our entrance, I'm gonna cut a promo just to get the crowd behind us." You know what I mean? I was like, "Okay, bro, yeah, no worries." And then he gets out there, he goes, "Newcastle! My name is Man Like Dereiss, and this is my boy Leon Slater, and we are known as boisterous behavior." And I'm like, "What? What is that?" But it was wicked, and it got a chant, and now here we are. You know, we got the merch, we got the belts, and now boisterous behavior is a real thing.
Yeah, nice, love it, love it. You're standing there like, what? You didn't clear this with me. What's going on?
I honestly, I had no clue. I had no clue what he was going to say in that promo, but it worked out in the end, didn't it? So it's all good.
Amazing, amazing. And what about holding those belts? What about that moment when you got the win and you're holding those belts up in the ring at North? I mean, how does that feel?
That, to be fair, that is another top moment of this year because it's something that was built to for like maybe 6 months or something like that, from February to I think July it was. So it was like anticipation all the way from February up to that moment, and then finally winning it. It was like that's another one. I can't even describe the feeling of that. It's like 6 months of hard work and graft all comes to that one moment, and then it all pays off. And you've got the belt in your hand, and that's a symbol of the work has paid off. You know you've done it. So
Yeah.
that is another one of the best feelings I think I've ever had in wrestling for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It was super cool seeing that as well with you guys. And it's weird now that you talk about like how it all started for it to come about and the fact that like it may not have even happened if Visage had been on that show.
Exactly.
Like it's just crazy how life works out.
Yeah, it is. And to be fair, that's like that applies to like my whole like career, I guess, this year. Like I always talk about it, it's like a spiral effect. So if Visage hadn't pulled out, then I wouldn't have tagged with Dereiss. If I didn't have tagged with Dereiss, then I wouldn't have broke the light. If I didn't break the light, then I wouldn't have got the attention to get on everything patterned. If I didn't get on everything patterned and do the corner dive, then maybe I won't be on Progress. And maybe if I want on Progress, maybe I won't be on Rev Pro and Wrestle Speedball and Yacht Call. So you know what I mean? It's a big spiral effect. It's crazy how things work. It really is.
Yeah, it is. That is wild. That is wild. Now that you lay it all out like that, that's really crazy. I mean,
Exactly.
talk to me then about as well in terms of you mentioned something there in terms of tagging with Dereiss in terms of like how you worried he'd perceive you first of all because there was a lot of hype around you. And I think over the last year, like with the matches you've been having and the performances you've been putting on, that hype has grown and grown and grown. Is there like an added pressure for you going into matches now? The fact that people see you as this like young rising star that like consistently has these bangers of matches.
To be fair, I wouldn't really call it pressure. I wouldn't really call it pressure. If anything, it adds to my confidence because I know that the people that are watching me believe in me. If anything, it was more pressure for me at the start when I had to prove myself that I was like who I say I am. You know what I mean? That I am the youngest in charge. But now people know what I am and know I'm the real deal. Then it's more reassuring than pressure for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And let's get on to Progress as well because, like you say, you were on everything patterned and sort of Progress looked like they sort of sat up and took notice and saw what people had been seeing for quite a while with you. And we'll get on to everything patterned in a bit when we talk about our stuff revolving around Black History Month. But in terms of just getting on Progress, considered obviously still, I guess, one of the biggest promotions in the country. Like, is that another moment where you're like holy shit, like I am climbing that ladder, I'm getting on these bigger and bigger shows.
That was a very, very surreal moment. Like I was in this room, I was in my living room, and my mum was laid on that sofa over there, and I was in my bedroom. I got the message and I came rushing. I was like, Mum, I'm on Progress. And she was like, what? And we were jumping for joy in this room right here. I remember it. It was on a night time. So that is, it's a very, very surreal moment because obviously growing up, Progress is one of the shows to get on in this country. Like Progress and Rev Pro is here, like above everything. So when I finally got that message, and it felt so early. Like I was thinking, yeah, I'm on a good track. Maybe I'll get on Progress. Maybe next year. Maybe year after. And then when I got that message, I was like, oh shit, we are onto something here. Like we are going up fast. You know what I mean? So it was a very surreal moment to get that message about everything patterned, and it was very nerve wracking because at that point, like I was saying, I felt it was very early in my career. to be on like a stage like that. So I wasn't sure if I was ready, but once I was there, once I was in the ring, I knew where I was and I knew I was ready in it. So it worked out all good in the end.
Awesome. Is your mum quite supportive of like your career wrestling wise?
Yeah. She's the best in the world. Like I love her so much because since I started training at 10 years old, and since then she has been driving me to training every single week. She picks me up from shows later, not from shows, but like she picks me up to come home from shows at ridiculous hours in the morning. She picks me up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. She picks me up from Sheffield, Wakefield, Leeds, anywhere. Like anything that I need to accomplish my goals, she will be there and she will help me. And I can never pay her back for that. No material object will ever pay for that. So I appreciate her more than anything in this world. She's been the most supportive, like I think a parent possibly could be. She's been amazing.
Love it. Love to hear that. That's amazing. Does she like follow wrestling in terms of the fact, like, if you say you're on Progress, like, does she know like that's a huge deal? Like,
yes, yeah. So obviously, like when we talk about wrestling, me and my mum, like she always asked me about my goals, and Progress was always one of my goals. So when I got the news that I was on it, she realized like how big of a deal it was to me, which is real cool.
Nice, that's awesome. Love to hear that. Love to hear that. And let's move on to talking about Black History Month, because we're here chatting as part of that. Obviously, this is being recorded in September, but you're actually going to be our second guest in the series. We had Warren Banks on a little while ago. That's going out the week before yours. And we spoke about a lot to do with representation in wrestling. I want to start with something in terms of the fact that you're obviously quite, fresh in your career still. So in terms of getting into training and things like that, me and Warren spoke about how it's tough, I think, for young black wrestlers to come up through the ranks, because there aren't many young black wrestlers training. So you don't, and because there's not so many on the scene, you don't automatically see yourself on shows like someone who has that similar background to you. And so it's tough to like get young black wrestlers into training because of that. Is that something that you can like attest to? Like when you went into training, did you see any people with similar backgrounds to yourself, or watching wrestling like growing up, say indie wise? Did you see many like black wrestlers who were like, who could sort of connect with their story?
No, not to be honest. There was on like independence, and when I was training, I've always been the only black person really. But I think I have a bit of a different view on it, because I am mixed race and my mum is white and I live with my mum. So I'm around like the white side of my family a lot more than I am like the black side. So right. I don't really see myself as like a black man, if you know what I mean. I'm just a man.
Sure.
Like, I have black skin, but I'm just a man. So when I started to get on shows and I was looking around, I'm like, oh, I'm the only black guy here. But there's a reason I'm on that show. You know what I mean? And I hope it's not just because I'm black and it's because I'm a wicked wrestler. And that's the kind of mentality that I have. So like representation, I think, is very important, and we need different creeds and colours and sexualities and all this on every show, because I believe that everybody should be represented, of course. But at the same time, I don't think that should be the sole reason that you're on the show. You know what I mean? I think in my case, I'm a wicked wrestler that just happens to be a black boy. You know what I mean? And if that inspires other young black boys to get into training, then that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I hope it does inspire other black kids to get into training, because like you were saying, that there isn't many people to look up to now. But now, especially this year, like we've got a lot of black people on the scene. Like you say, we got Warren, we got Dereiss, Dan Maloney. There's loads of people of color on the scene killing it at the moment. So representation is very important. And I think people like me and Dereiss and Warren, like I hope we are inspiring the next generation to get into training, because I would like to see more black people on shows. It would be a nice thing, but at the same time, I don't want to be a charity case. I want black people to be on shows because they're a wicked wrestler, not because they're a black wrestler. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's something we spoke about as well, in the fact that it's all about, you're not like, it's not just having a token person there on the card, whether it's a black wrestler or a women's wrestler or something like that. It's not just about having that token thing. It's like you're putting them there because they're great at their job and their background shouldn't matter. But we also spoke about this thing where it seems like, some promoters might, in terms of, I guess, not putting like black wrestlers on posters and things like that, like in match posters and stuff, in terms of the fact that, although it's not great, it's sometimes maybe an unconscious thing, and like people don't realize that like there's an issue there.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I bet a lot of people would look at a wrestling poster and go, Oh yeah. It's just fine wrestling poster, and there'd be no one black on it. And I think that's just how things are, or how things were, especially
Mm.
like because like you were saying, it has been a very white dominated scene in the past. So I guess that's just how things have been in the past. But even now, like on show posters, I'm seeing more and more black people. So things are definitely on the uprising. But yeah, people are definitely taking more notice of it now than ever, which is a real good thing.
And obviously, like you sort of like mentioned earlier, it's the fact that people like yourself, like Dereiss, like Warren, like Ojmo, like Dan, it's those people that like like again like young black kids coming to shows are going to see and be able to relate to and be like, oh, there's someone that looks like me on that show, and that's more likely to, if they're passionate about wrestling, be someone that they can look up to and then help them get involved.
Yeah, like now that you mentioned him, Ojmo, I remember doing ring crew for Breed back in the day, and I thought Ojmo was the fucking man because he was, and he still is. He still is the man, and he was the only black person on them shows, or one of very few black people on them shows. And I was like, man, if he can do it, then I can definitely do this. I can definitely do this. And I still haven't shared the ring with him yet, but one day that'll be a real nice like full circle moment because I really did look up to Ojmo, and I still do look up to him. I still do look up to him. So yeah, he was a big inspiration when I was doing ring crew back in the day, 100%.
Yeah, and that's cool. And like that's the thing as well. Like Ojmo and Warren, and like obviously yourself, you're like a rising star, and so is Dereiss. But I'd put like, I know Warren's taking a break at the minute, but Warren and Ojmo I'd put up there as like two of like the best in the country at the minute in terms of like
1000%.
the matches they're having and the status they have at certain companies. Like, and that's really cool to see, and that's refreshing as well. But that's obviously, I think, something that I think needs to be, I guess, built on continually still to make sure that representation continues to flourish.
Yeah, 100%. Like, especially like Ojmo, who's got 5-star in this country? Him, Ricky Knight Jr. and Will Ospreay. There's 3 people in this country who've got 5-star match, and he's one of them. So how can he not be one of the top in the UK? And Warren just been to the final of Super Strong Style Weekend. How many people have done that? Not many. So when you talk about top names, they are definitely 2 at the top, 100%.
But like you say as well, in terms of like what we said with Warren as well, in terms of continuing this, making sure that more change happens and it keeps growing. It's like you said, it's got to be that promotions aren't doing this as just a token thing because it's that spot on the card that needs to be filled or something. It's got to be the fact that like you look past that. It's just that this is a great wrestler who happens to be a certain color, right? You're not booking that person because they're a black wrestler. You're booking them just because they're a great wrestler. And I think that's I think that's something that I'd still like, looking from an outside, and of course I can't like pretend to relate to anyone's experience in that regard. But I think that looking from the outside, I think that's something that British wrestling still can improve, especially like we said with things like the match posters and stuff, by just putting faces out there and not I guess making it like an underthought.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
I mean, for yourself coming to training as well, then like it's quite refreshing to hear you say in terms of like coming into training as someone with a mixed background that you didn't really have that sort of view of it going on initially, that we've spoken to like a few other black wrestlers about in terms of the experiences they've had. Is that something that I guess is also beneficial in a way, because you're not just looking at it through a sort of a narrow lens, you're sort of seeing both sides of it.
Yeah, 100%. Like I think that's a view that I carry through life as well. Like if I'm ever in a situation where I'm the only black guy, to be fair, it's only something that I've really realized as I've grown up. Like when I started training when I was like younger, and it was never even really a thought, to be honest. Like I was just like, oh yeah, I'm just another young kid here. I never really thought of myself as like, oh, I'm the only black kid and I'm surrounded by white people. Oh no. And it's only like race is only something that's really hit me as I've grown up. But even like I was saying, even now, I don't really put too much thought into it. Like I'm a person, you're a person, you've got different skin than I have, but we're all made of the same stuff. You know what I mean? And we're all here because we love wrestling. So I'm a black guy that loves wrestling, you're a white guy that loves wrestling, but there's no difference really, is it? We're just people that love wrestling.
Exactly.
So I don't. It sounds very cringy, but I don't really see colour.
No, for sure, and I think that's a view that just more people should take generally. I think some people say that they don't, and like there's again like that unconscious thing that maybe they do. But again, like you're right, and that's really refreshing to hear. Really refreshing to hear, and I'm glad.
Even on like sorry to interrupt.
No, it's all right.
On, like, a wider basis, like I feel like racism as a whole, and like this is getting off the topic a bit, but I feel like racism as a whole would just be better if people just ignored it. If you know what I mean. Like I feel like this is kind of a stranger view to have, but if so say I'm talking to you, I'm not thinking I'm talking to a white man, and you're not thinking I'm talking to a black man. I'm just talking to another person, and I feel like if people just forgot the race, we're all people. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of problems would disappear if we just saw past it and just saw people as people.
Oh, for sure.
Like
Like in
that's
the, just
how
not in terms of just wrestling, like just the whole wider world. Like it would
exactly,
be a lot better
exactly,
thing if that was the case.
100%,
Hmm.
100%.
No, I appreciate you being so open about it, and I really appreciate your view of it. Um, moving on to some other stuff. We've got a feature here called Hot Takes,
Okay,
and this is essentially your the way I like to describe it is like the tweet that you'd put out that would not necessarily get you cancelled, but that everyone would be like, "There's no way you can believe that." Like, for
okay,
example, it doesn't have to be food related, but mine's food related, and mine's the fact that I think pasta is really overrated. Like, I'm not a huge like I'll eat pasta if it's put in front of me, but I'll never go out of my way to choose pasta as a meal. Like,
okay.
so that's mine. You know what I mean? Like, and people look at me like, "What? Like, pasta's great," and I'm like, "I don't see it." So like, so that's mine. But like, what would your sort of thing like that be? It obviously doesn't have to be food related, but like a take that you have that people look at you weird when you say.
mm, a take that I have when people look at me weird. Rah. You know what? I think olives should be banned. I think olives are the most vile thing on this planet, and some people love them, and I
Mm.
don't understand it. I think olives should be banished from this universe. I don't. It should be. It should be stuff you feed to people on like death row. It should be prisoner food because it's disgusting, and no free man should have to eat an olive. I suppose that's my hot take
That's a pretty hot
because I
take.
know a
Yeah,
lot of olive fans are out there, but me, no,
not
no,
the case. Not the case. No,
no.
I think a lot of hot takes are to do with food. To be honest, I think we've had a couple on already who like the hot takes are, are food based as well. I think that's the thing that really riles people up. Like when people like a food that like loads of people don't like, and someone like is the opposite. They're like, what?
Yeah, people get defensive about it, but I don't know how you can get defensive over an olive because it tastes like the bottom of my shoe. It tastes disgusting. They're nasty.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, that brings us on to sort of another like part of our show, which is like the sort of like get to know you feature, which is called Anatomy of a Pro Wrestler. And this is
Okay.
essentially, just sort of like learning about what makes Leon Slater out the ring. Um, so I'm going to ask you some questions, and you let me know what comes to mind.
Okay.
Cool, cool. The first one is my favorite pre-show meal.
Mm. Favorite pre-show meal? It's got to be a Tesco meal deal. I go for the all-day breakfast sandwich, some type of smoothie, and like them little fruit boxes like the apples and grapes and that. I'm a big
Nice,
fruit fan, so
nice,
yeah,
nice. Keep it healthy. Keep it healthy.
keeping it healthy.
Like it, like it. Well, on the opposite end of the spectrum, the next one is my favorite post pinfall pig out.
Ooish. Post pinfall pig out. Damn. Well, to be fair, it depends what's available. But if I had to pick, it would be either a Taco Bell or a KFC.
Nice.
I have McDonald's too much to even put it in this category
Yeah,
anymore. I
it's
have it
one of those
too much.
things, isn't it? I imagine loads of people say McDonald's, but they're like, "Oh, we only go McDonald's because it's the only thing open when you're traveling back from
Yeah,
a show."
yeah, exactly. So most time it is McDonald's, but if I had to pick, it would be Taco Bell or KFC for
Nice.
sure.
What do you order?
So from Taco Bell, I get the quesadilla cravings box. So you get one quesadilla, one beef taco. You get two churros with the caramel sauce, and you get a portion of chips and a drink, all for £7. What a bargain that is!
I
It's
mean,
a
Taco
wicked
Bell is
deal.
just the elite in terms of cheap fast food. Like it's
Yes,
ridiculously good.
100%.
Nice.
And you know what? Taco Bell, you don't even feel like you're eating fast food because
Mm.
it's like, you know what I mean? It's not a burger, it's a quesadilla. It sounds foreign, so it sounds like you're eating something nicer than you actually are. You know
Yeah,
what I
for
mean?
sure, for sure. I get that. I get that. What about KFC? Would you go for there?
KFC, it depends on how hungry I am. Sometimes I get one of them like little buckets for one, and
Mm.
then if I'm just a bit peckish, I get like a 3-piece original chicken meal.
Nice, nice. Good calls. Good calls. The final food based one is your favorite type of food in general.
My favorite type of food in general. Mm, it's got to be mum's home cooking. Like
Nice.
my mum, she's incredible. Like she's like Gordon Ramsay level, Jamie Oliver level. I love her cooking. She makes this chicken and rice, and it's
Is that
perfecto,
like
10
signature
10
dish?
all across the board. All across the board.
Nice, nice. That's the signature, is it? That's like the top tier.
Yeah, the chicken and rice is the chicken and rice is here. Then she's got, what else does she make that's real nice? She makes this like bacon and potato thing. See, this is the good thing about being mixed because I get the best of both worlds. I get the Sunday dinners on one day and then I get the jollof rice on the other day. It's real nice.
Yeah, yeah, mix it all. Love it, love it. The next one is the song that gets me the most hyped.
Ooh, the most hyped. Gee, oh man, it's between like the first two songs that came to mind, and it's a bit of a abstract pick, I guess. But "Lady" by Mojo, it's on the GTA radio station, and it is such a banger. Anytime I hear them like do 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 do, it gets me gassed. I love that song. And the other one, probably "Only Girl in the World" by Rihanna. That's another one.
Nice.
Anything on GTA radio just gets me excited.
That's the go-to. Yeah. Flicking through the stations.
Yeah, 100%. Anytime I hear them songs, I'm just my eyes closed, cruising through Los Santos in my supercar. It's wicked, man. I love GTA songs. Them ones get me.
Love it. Do you play it like? Do you play it like properly though? Do you like play it like when you like you say like when you're cruising? Do you play like you actually stop at the lights and stuff and things like that? You're actually driving it, or you just like?
Sometimes it is. Sometimes like on a late night, you've come home from like a busy day wrestling or a busy day training or what. Sometimes you don't want to rag it about the city. Sometimes you do just want to stop at the traffic lights and not punch civilians. So sometimes it is one of them vibes, and then other times it's just chaos, you know.
Nice, love it, love it. The next one is your favorite band of all time. Doesn't have to be a band, like music artist of all time.
Ooh, favorite artist of all time. The first person that comes to mind is Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar is probably top three, top one. Maybe top two, top one.
Nice.
Kendrick Lamar is definitely up there for sure.
For sure. Nice. Awesome. And the next one is the best gig I've ever been to.
Ooh. Maybe Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
That he was real good, and I'm going to see him later again this year. But the first time I went to see him, I think it was 2017. That was another like surreal experience because you've seen him so many times on your phone, and listened to his voice so many times over the phone, and when you see him and hear him in person, it's another very surreal experience.
Yeah, so it's a whole different world, isn't it? It's like a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's wild.
Nice. The next one is the movie that I chose, The Locker Room.
Ooh. The movie that I showed, The Locker Room. I do like. I'm a big fan of horror movies, so maybe Hereditary. I'm a big fan of Hereditary.
Nice.
Maybe Shutter Island. That's another one of my favorite films. But I feel like with Shutter Island, it's one of them films. Once you've seen it, you've kind of seen it. Because have you seen Shutter Island?
I've not. I've seen parts of it. I know the basic gist of it, but I've not seen the whole film.
Yeah. So it's got this big twist at the end. So once you've seen the big twist, it's like, oh, okay, it's a good film, but it's not really a thing you can rewatch. So maybe Hereditary.
Yeah.
Because that's got more of the rewatch value, man.
Nice. Well, I don't know if this will be a. This is a weird tangent to go off, but like just weirdly, I was watching this interview yesterday with Jennifer Lawrence, and she said her favorite film was Hereditary as well. So, I mean, if anyone asks what Leon Slater and Jennifer Lawrence have in common, then you can always say that.
I love Hereditary.
There you go. Brilliant. The next one is my favourite way to relax.
My favourite way to relax? Probably playing video games. I'm a big video games fan.
Nice. What else do you play apart from GTA?
I play GTA. I play the NBA games. I'm a sports game guy, really. I play the NBA games. I play like the NFL games, obviously the WWE games, and Minecraft. Minecraft is one of my favorite games of all time for sure.
Yeah, that's the addictive one, isn't it?
That's my favorite way to relax. Just playing Minecraft. It's one of the best of all time.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Like almost like you say, like the whole game is essentially just like just driving properly in GTA, right? You're just like walking around building stuff and like knocking stuff down. It's like super calming and addictive.
Exactly. I'm like, I have a connection to that game. I cried playing that game once. It was one of them times I hadn't played it in ages, and then one of them beats comes on, like one of them soundtracks comes on, and a tear welled up in my eye and rolled down my cheek. Man, it's a great game. It's Minecraft. I do love it.
Love it. Brilliant. The next one is my first job.
Ooh, my first job was, I guess, a paper round. Does that count?
Yeah,
paper round. Yeah, I guess that was my first job. Then a little village paper round.
Nice, classic.
14. Classic, yeah, vintage.
What about after that? What came after that?
So I did that paper round, and then I was still in school for a while, and then I did this apprenticeship. It was supposed to be a customer service apprenticeship, but I was pretty much just a warehouse worker. So I did that for 6 months, and then I left that and now I'm wrestling full time.
Nice.
And this is my favorite job by far.
Yeah, I mean, out of the three, I would imagine that wrestling, although probably a little bit bruising and stuff, it's probably the most exciting, right?
100%. 100%.
Brilliant. And sort of leading on from that, if you weren't a wrestler, the next one is that it's if I wasn't a wrestler, I'd be.
Ooh. I'd like to think I'd be some type of performer still. Maybe like a rapper, but I can't really rap. Like if I could rap other people's songs and like make a living off that, I'd do that as a job. But I don't think that's a thing.
No, I think you can do that as a thing. There's like lip syncing things and stuff. You get like tribute bands as well, don't you? I'm sure like.
Yeah. Maybe I'd be a Kendrick Lamar tribute band then. Maybe
Nice.
That's what I'd do if I wasn't a wrestler.
Love it. Was entertainment like something you always wanted to get into, like from a young age? Do you always want to do some sort of performance?
Yeah, I think so. It's never been something I've massively been like conscious of, like, oh, I want to be a performer. But I guess I've always just kind of been a performer, like in my nature. So it's just kind of natural for me to do stuff like that.
Sure. Nice. The next one is my favorite animal.
Oh, favorite animal. I'm probably gonna have to go with a monkey, just because I feel like I'm pretty similar to a monkey. Like they got good energy, they're funny, but they're smart as well. They're smart.
Yeah.
I like monkeys.
Nice, I like it. Next one gets a little deep because it's my greatest fear.
Ooh, it's not actually that deep because a few months ago I would have said death, but now I'm not really that scared of death. I think it's a natural thing and it's gonna happen to everyone eventually. So I'm not too scared of that anymore. So my biggest fear now is the ocean. I'm terrified of the ocean.
Really?
If you've heard of like thalassophobia, I think it's called. It's like fear of deep waters. It just it gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't like it at all.
Sure. I get that. That's understandable. Like I know a few people that like will swim in a swimming pool but not in the sea and stuff like that. So like that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. Was there a route in that or anything, like in terms of like did you like have an experience or something that put you off it, or has it just always sort of been there?
I think it's always sort of been there. But just more recently, I've just realised like how just large it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when you're in the middle of it and you can't see any land and you don't know what's beneath you and anything could come and swim. I think it's the being out of your element that like really gets me. Because like on land, I feel confident. I can walk, I can run, I can jump. But in the water, what can I do? If a shark wants me, he's got me, and I can't do nothing about it because I'm in his environment. And if a shark was walking on the land, I'd kill it. So if I'm in his environment, what's he going to do to me?
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing that trips me out about it, really.
I get that. And again, like you said, just the sort of sheer scale of it is quite intimidating as well. Like, that's fair enough.
So much of it is undiscovered as well. Like, I swear we've only discovered like 10% of it.
Yeah, it's mental, right? Like, there's that much ocean out there that we feel like we know loads, but we really know nothing.
No, nothing.
Yeah, I get that. Next one, a couple of wrestling ones for you. This is sort of like a two-parter, and I appreciate it's early in your career, and the even now the options are limited, but you still had some banging matches. So it's my favourite match, but I want one that you've been in and one that you've watched.
Ooh, is it like watched in person or watched?
It doesn't have to be watched in person now.
Okay. My favourite match I've been in is probably me and Speedball. That's probably my favourite match I've ever had. Then my favourite match to watch. You know what? I've got a bunch of favourite matches, but one that comes to mind that I've watched recently is Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle from SummerSlam 2002.
Great shout.
It's the best opener of all time, 100%. Yeah, that is probably one of my favourite matches.
That is a great shout, and it's a way to get someone into a show, like to start a show, like you say, like that's a kick-ass match.
Exactly.
Nice. The next one is going to be in person because it's the loudest pop I've ever heard.
Ooh, the loudest pop I've ever heard. Damn.
I imagine there's a few.
That's a tough one. The loudest pop I've ever heard was maybe Liam winning the North Belt off Rory Coyle. That was insane. So yeah, maybe that's it. But it could be when Cara did the trampoline swanton through the tables at Strong Style Weekend. That was another big one. But I think Liam and Rory probably tops that in terms of noise. So it's probably Liam versus Rory.
Yeah, I wasn't there for that, but like just watching clips of it, it sounded loud. And again, that was like the huge full circle thing for Liam as well. Like, so that was like understandable that the pop was so big.
Yeah, 100%. And it was one of them ones where you can you can feel it in your like your body
Mm,
shakes with the noise. Yeah, so that is probably the biggest pop I've ever heard.
nice, nice. And the next one is my favorite venue to wrestle in.
Ooh, my favorite venue to wrestle in is probably the Anarchy Brewery for North.
Yeah.
Just because it's a very unique venue and
Mm.
it's got its own flavour, which is quite nice because I feel like a lot of venues feel very samey, but Anarchy Brewery definitely stands out to me.
Oh, that's always nice when a like a promotion has a venue that is a little different that like only they could have and like it's part of their
Yeah,
style.
yeah, and it's nice when it's nice when a promotion only has one venue as well. So it's like
Mm,
this is us. Like we're not going all around. Obviously, it's nice to go all around,
mm,
but when you have that one place that people can come to and like, yeah, this is North. This is us.
mm.
That's a real nice thing as well.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. A couple left. The next one is my favorite place in the world.
Ooh, my favorite place in the world is probably where do I like to be the most? Probably Pursuit Pro Wrestling. I
Yeah.
love being there. Anytime I'm there, I'm never in a bad mood when I'm at Pursuit. So probably like I won't say Sheffield because Sheffield is Sheffield, but Pursuit Pro Wrestling is probably my favorite place in the world.
Awesome, awesome. And then the final one is my dream holiday destination.
Ooh, holiday. So this isn't even like traveling for wrestling or nothing. Holiday.
You can, if you want, it can be something where you travel for wrestling and have a little vacation while you're there as well.
I mean, America's always been a massive goal. I mean,
Mm.
I'd love to go to America, but I feel like I'd come up with something a bit more spicy than America. Maybe somewhere like maybe somewhere in the Caribbean. I think
Yeah,
the Caribbean's nice. Got a chill little vibe to it. I think the Caribbean would be quite nice for like a straight up holiday, no wrestling.
yeah, yeah. Bit of beach and sun and all that. Nice. Like
Yeah,
it.
yeah, good music, good food, good vibes.
Love it, love it. Well, you sort of talk about America there, and maybe like a holiday that's not just a holiday, but also going for wrestling, and that brings us on to just talking about what the future holds for Leon Slater. Like, if we were having this conversation this time next year, do you have any like goals you would have liked to achieve, or places you would have liked to have wrestled, or people you would have liked to have wrestled? In the next few months.
Hmm. So I think I will wrestle in America
Mm?
in the next year. Like I like to speak things into existence. So I think I will wrestle in America in the next year. I'd just like to travel for wrestling really and
Mm.
like elevate my position that I'm at now. So obviously continue to do the progresses and the Rev Pros and the Norths, but just elevate my position in those companies and get bigger and bigger matches, more and more super fights. So yeah, those are probably my goals. And then opponents wise, Nick Wayne's a big one. Like the two best young wrestlers in the world, in my
Mm.
opinion. I think that would be a cool thing to see how we fare against each other.
Mm.
I'd like to wrestle Callum Newman again. I've already wrestled him, but I'd like to wrestle him again. Swerve is another big one on my list. I
Mm.
think me and Swerve would have a real good match. Those are like the big three for me at the moment to tick off the list.
Nice.
Um, Opponents wise, and then obviously goals wise, like America and just traveling in general.
Yeah, love it. I love it. And that's the thing as well I want to ask you about in terms of being another one of like this sort of crop of up and coming young British wrestlers.
Mhm.
Because well, a lot in the past on the podcast we've spoken to people about how NXT UK sort of opened up these spaces for young wrestlers who may not have got a shot initially. And now
Mhm.
they're all thriving, the likes of yourself and all the CPF lads, Danny and Joe and Callum and Mayhew as well, and the likes of like Dereiss who we mentioned, and loads of other people who may not have got those opportunities if those stars had still been there and not moved away.
Mhm.
So now I think what's really interesting, and I want to get your view on it, is the fact that with NXT now gone and those stars, a lot of them likely coming back to the indies, they've now got a bit of work on their hands to try and like get their spots back because you guys are all killing it, like having incredible matches. And like it's
Mhm.
just I just think as a fan it's gonna be really interesting to see how that plays out because I don't know how you get like push like guys like yourselves who are having these incredible matches any like down the card just because these people are back because I think they've got to prove themselves again now, right?
Yeah, 1000%. Like, and the way that I've come up, I didn't really come up in their era, if you know
Mm,
what I mean. Like, I've come up in the last year, so I don't really have any connection to these people,
mm,
and I respect them for what they did, and I respect them for getting that contract and going to live their dream as like a WWE superstar in it. But now they're coming back, they can't just take my spot because I've worked hard for this spot. I've worked hard for this spot, and they can't just waltz in and take it from me. They're gonna have to earn it from me. If you want to take my spot, you're gonna have to take it from me. You know what I mean? You're not
mm.
just gonna waltz in and take it. because I worked hard for this.
Love it, love it. And again, with like again, we mentioned the whole batch of young wrestlers coming through. Lycos too as well. We didn't mention Lycos too. I mean, like
Yeah.
incredible young wrestler as well. I mean, it
He's
must
getting
be.
old now.
Yeah.
Like Lycos, getting
Oh,
old.
he's been
He's
around
20
for
now. He's getting on.
he's
He's
been
getting
around
on.
for years at this point, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I think that's the mental thing, isn't it? He's been around so long and he's still like only 20, and you're like, what?
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I mean, it must be really nice as well, just to be part of this young batch of talent that's coming up and seeing this talent around you who are also thriving as well and making their name and making their mark.
100%. Like I feel like we have a really good group of us at the moment. Like we're all, and like Miles Kamen is another one. Miles Kamen is someone that I'm around quite a lot. And it's just good energy like around all the young guys in this country. Like we're all hungry and we all want to be the top guy, which is good. Like it gets a bit competitive sometimes, but it's a good competitive rivalry. It's like sibling rivalry, you know what I mean? Like we all want to be the best, but in a healthy way.
Yeah, you're all battling with each other, but you're all lifting each other up as well.
Yeah,
like, there's
yeah,
no
exactly.
loser really.
Exactly, and I think we're all so hungry for it that eventually we all will be a top guy in some shape or form.
Yeah, and we can't wait for that day. That's going to be incredible. When you guys are all at the top of the cards, it's going to be mental. It's going to be brilliant. It's going to be a great era for British wrestling. Well, Leon Slater, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the Grapple Theory podcast. It's been a pleasure having you on. I hope you enjoyed it.
It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you for having me. It's been real fun.
Great. I'm glad. It's always nice to hear that. And I really appreciate you being so open about representation in wrestling, but also your background and your experiences with it as well. And that's really cool. And we always end each show with giving our guest a final bit of promo time. So for the next rest of the year, for going into 2023, you mentioned that you want to go abroad and travel and wrestle. But for anyone who sees you on a match card at Progress or at North or anywhere else in the country, why is Leon Slater going to steal the show?
Because I'm obsessed. Because I'm obsessed with this. And this is not a promo. I'm talking to you like I was talking to you for this whole interview. I am obsessed with wrestling. I don't sleep at night. I went to sleep at 3 o'clock last night because I was watching wrestling. And that's no over-exaggeration. I do not sleep because of this. It's all I think about and it's all I work towards. My whole day-to-day life is based off this. So when I'm on that show, you know that I've been working a whole week towards that one show. And I'm going to steal it because that's what I do. I'm a super fighter. I'm a super fight soldier. Understand that.
Love it. Brilliant. Thank you, Leon. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.